What's good, fam? Today we're doing History of the United States, I guess. This video was requested by a bunch of people. So this one is by krispykarim. krispykarim did this as a homage, I guess, to Bill Wurtz, who did History of the Entire World, I guess. I did a reaction to that. It was pretty epic. It was almost 3 hours, I believe. I also did History of Japan. So check those videos out. I'll link them up here a little later on. But let's get into this one.
The United States is a country on Earth with 50 states. It's powerful and it's American. It's pretty cold and human beings are trying to spread all over the planet. They reached the edge and they got sticks and babies. Hey guys, check out this bridge. It goes to the other side of the world. And there's a lot of food. Oh, nice. Well, you're all stuck now.
All right, so number one, so far so good. I like it. I like it a lot. Definitely capturing the feeling of Bill Wurtz with the production, everything, the sound. Hopefully there's going to be a couple of catchy tunes like "The Sun is a Deadly Laser." But yeah, he's obviously talking about the Ice Age and the Bering land bridge, which then eventually, of course, melts as time goes on, but that's how people make it to North America, or what we call today the United States. And they started setting up societies, which we talked about in History of the Entire World, I guess, when we talked about the cradle of civilization and all that stuff. I went really in depth with that. But we started seeing our first societies, where people are actually settling down in one place. They're growing, there's agriculture, there's trade, there's some kind of bartering or monetary system, and then they start setting up, sorts of governments, so to speak, decision-making, etc. So that's what's happening here, and yeah, they are kind of stuck there, so to speak.
Okay, so people are chilling out on the land, gathering food, and hunting mammoths. Well, they died, but they got a backup. Hey, now that we got food and land, let's form a society. Oh, someone just discovered gambling, but more importantly, someone just discovered farming. Wait,
someone just discovered gambling? Well, gambling goes back to, hold on, let's...
Oh, someone just discovered gambling.
Someone just discovered gambling in South America. I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about here, because gambling obviously goes back many thousands of years before this. In ancient China, in Rome, that's where dice were invented. But possibly he's talking about Spain. Spain, around this time, you get your first casinos, or what we would equate to modern day casinos, in Italy and in France. But in Spain, there's a popular game which is still played today called 21. 21, which is 21, is a precursor to blackjack. So I'm not quite sure here, but I'm actually gonna look into this, because that would be quite interesting.
Gambling, but more importantly, someone just discovered farming. Wait, we could have just planted stuff in the ground? Yeah, and soon everybody learned about this, planting corn in the process. Hey, now that we got farming, let's form a better society. Then they make some hills. Then they die, but they still make those hills, making a city around one. Meanwhile, the Mayans become so obsessed with the stars.
The stars. What do you think of that one, Wookie? So there we go. We got our first little jingle here. Yeah, the Mayans. Of course, during 2012, everybody thought it was the end of the world because the Mayans said so. But it's 2022, 10 years later. We're still here. But yeah, they are forming better societies. And we think of America as this place with an abundance of everything today, right? We just have so much of everything, especially food. We have all types of meats. Any type of meat you want, you go to the supermarket, you can get yourself some ostrich, some bison, some cow, some pork, whatever the hell you want. You could even get plant-based meats. I don't know what the hell that's all about, but you can get plant-based meats. But that wasn't true at the time. Corn or maize was pretty much one of the most American things, whereas everything else that eventually got introduced, whether it be animals, whether it be agriculture, whether it be vegetables, that all came from other countries later on. So corn was super, super important, and obviously it's still important today because the corn industry is pretty much all over our foods, right? Corn syrup is pretty much in everything that we eat.
Then they collapse. Some natives in the West liked the desert, building their town under some rocks. North America was getting pretty diverse, pretty complicated, and pretty beautiful. Sort of. The Aztec and the Inca empires are getting started. Wait, hold up. Check out this boat. Knock, knock. It's Columbus.
Oh, boy.
From Europe. Yo, what's up, my Indians? Where my spices at? Columbus politely asked as disease killed the entire population. Hey,
Yeah,
Spain,
pretty
I
much.
found India.
I'm actually curious about this. I haven't looked into this, but maybe you can let me know in the comment section what it's like where you live. And this is specifically for people in the United States. But a couple 3 years ago, maybe, they changed Columbus Day here in New York to Italian Pride / Native American Appreciation Day or something like that. It really doesn't roll off the tongue like Columbus Day does. I'm actually happy about it. I don't think we should be celebrating Columbus because, number one, it's a huge misconception. I actually did a short on it that Columbus discovered that the world was round, that nobody knew that the world was round, which is a complete falsehood. People knew that the world was round. The people who thought that the earth was flat were pretty much the same amount of people who think today that the earth is flat. It was not a lot of people. There were many academic books already written on the sphere, as they called it. So Columbus did not discover that the earth was round. That's a huge misconception. And he didn't discover America. He never set foot in America. He died not knowing that he discovered anything close to, except for what he thought was India, right? So, and Columbus's navigational skills and his circumference of the earth and all of his planning was really not that great. But what he did do is he killed a crap ton of people. That we could do. He subjugated people. He enslaved people. He murdered. He should not be celebrated at all. But yeah, India. Yo, where my spices at? But I'm curious if Columbus Day was renamed everywhere, or are there still states that celebrate specifically Columbus Day? I'd be interested to see in the comment section.
India? And so Europe began legally assaulting the Americas. Sorry guys, give it a second. Wait, this isn't even India, but dang, check out these resources. Hey Portugal, I'll take all of this and you take this tiny chunk because I'm better than you. In the meantime, let's use...
It wasn't because they were better. Let's just...
Portugal, I'll take all of this and you take this...
This was actually decided at the time by the Pope. He drew the line of demarcation and said, all right, so anything west of, this goes to Spain. Anything east of this goes to Portugal. So that's pretty much it. It wasn't because they were better. It's just what was decided at the time by the Pope.
This tiny chunk because I'm better than you. In the meantime, let's use the natives to do the work for us. But the natives died, remember? So plan B. Check out the new Columbus Triangle thing, now in business. I want a bigger slice of that.
The slave trade, which then became the triangle trade, of course. So slavery and the Spanish people did try to enslave natives at the time as well. So it's not like they just gave up. Natives were wiped out, but not 100%. About 90% were wiped out by Columbus and other travelers that had come and brought disease that they had no immunity to. So that's why they died off. But the Spanish people did try to enslave the natives that did remain.
Wealth cake, suckers. The British are off to set up a colony. Second try, by the way. And they did it. Look at that tobacco. Britain kinda sucked religiously. Ew, said the pilgrims sailing away for Jesus. Dude, let's make some colonies. With more colonies. In the middle. I can't eat pork, but bacon just made slavery popular. England still sucks.
Yes.
Hey guys, check out my new crib. You can do whatever you want. Check out those immigrants. Let's talk about the South. Here slavery was a big hit. What did Britain do about this? Nothing. Sweet, we're free. Because we gotta stay Christian. Europe was getting intellectual. The colonists heard about it and started reading stuff like John Locke, Adam Smith, Toad, Understanding Liberty and Democracy.
So there's a lot here, of course. So let me just go back so I can
about this?
Remember some of the points.
Sweet, we're free.
Yeah, so I've discussed this previously in videos, so I won't get too in-depth in it. But most of the people that were sent here to the Americas were criminal elements, people who were in debtor's prison, like Benjamin Franklin's father, for example. He was in debtor's prison, and they were given a choice. They could remain in prison, or they can go and represent England's interests, so to speak, in the Americas, and most of them chose to do so, of course.
Because we gotta stay Christian. Europe was getting intellectual. The colonists heard about it and started reading stuff like John Locke, Adam Smith, Toad, Understanding Liberty and Democracy. Check this one out. Britain and France are killing each other. Britain wins, and they're broke. Damn, we need some cash. Hey, can we go west? No. Also give us money. So Britain starts taxing the hell out of the colonies. Okay,
so this is another huge misconception. So the 7 Years' War, which was almost like the first modern-day world war, because it took place on many different continents, but mainly, of course, it was between England and France. So there's this huge misconception that, England was being like totalitarian and saying, hey, you have to give us money, and they were taxing the hell out of them. Number one, the war was fought really for American interests or North American interests. And number two, compared to the taxation taking place in England itself, the colonists were getting taxed at a fraction, which pissed off a lot of English people, because since they're English people as well, even though they don't have any rights in the parliament, they don't have a voice, no representation, no taxation without representation. They were taxed at a fraction. So really, whenever I teach this, I always ask my students to take a look at it from England's side. And really, the colonists were being a bunch of petulant children, just because they were asked to kind of chip in, for the pot, so to speak, for the house. But they became petulant about it, mainly because of all these Enlightenment ideas. And that's another misconception, is that, our founding fathers, especially people like Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, they came up with these ideas like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which was a Lockean idea, was a John Locke idea, life, liberty, and the pursuit of property. But they didn't want the average folk thinking that, hey, we deserve property just like everybody else. They wanted to make sure that was reserved for people of their ilk. That's why most of the founders were landowners, and very wealthy ones at that. George Washington at one time was the wealthiest person in the colonies. So just wanted to clear up a couple of those there.
Something just happened in Boston, and Revere told everybody, let's dump some tea in the ocean cause they taxed it. Hey Britain, can you stop ignoring us? Britain didn't really care, they just kept doing it. Okay, we gotta talk about this, people. So Britain's clapping us right now, but I think we can still make peace with them. Look, another shooting, and Revere told everybody.
That's true. That is true. The colonists did not really want independence. It's not, that's another thing they teach you in school is, oh, the founding fathers got together and they declared their independence as if they were of one mind and one body, and they all just agreed, and they were these so-called band of brothers, right? There's a famous book written about it, Band of Brothers, which is absolutely not true. They were petty. They were constantly arguing. They didn't like each other. They made fun of each other. They spread rumors about each other, disgusting ones. Thomas Jefferson spread rumors about John Adams being a hermaphrodite. He did it during the election as well when he ran against him. So it wasn't that they weren't this collective. That's why it took years and years and years for these things to be decided. Because a lot of people think, well, they declared independence and that was that in 1776. Meanwhile, 1791 is when we get our, George Washington elected president, right? It took a long time to ratify the Constitution, to get an agreement on it. And even that was done somewhat illegally because they were supposed to be ratifying the Articles of Confederation, but instead they decided to write a whole ass new Constitution and be like, hey, make sure the windows are nailed shut so nobody can, hear what's going on here. They did everything in complete secrecy. But to my original point, they originally did not want that. They just wanted to be recognized. If you told somebody like George Washington at the time that we will recognize you as a true Englishman, because that's what they wanted to be. They wanted to be true Englishmen with a voice in the government. They wanted to be recognized not just as colonists but as Englishmen. George Washington would have agreed to that right away, just like Crispy's saying here in the video, that we can still maintain maybe some kind of peace.
Everybody, that's not happening, said Thomas Paine, writing a book about independence. Now people hated Britain and they declared independence. You guys suck. Psst, you want to team up against Britain?
And it's not like people hate it. It's like everybody decided, we all hate Britain. It was very split. It was very, very split. It was more closer than most people want to pretend or imagine that it was. There were a lot of people who were not in favor of independence and were in favor of paying the tax. But France here, without France, it's funny, World War I, World War II especially, say, hey, if it wasn't for us Americans, you French would all be speaking German. Well, if it wasn't for the French, we'd all be speaking English still, but we'd be Englishmen. Hopefully we would have been Englishmen.
And they destroy Cornwallis, and they win.
Get out of here, Britain!
Now we're in control. Bro, we need a government. They create a constitution, but a bunch of farmers made it fail. Okay, we gotta talk about this, people. We need to remaster our government. The states had some ideas. Let's just do both. And
there were a number of rebellions that took place. Shays' Rebellion is definitely one of the biggest one. There was a whiskey rebellion. There were several other rebellions that took place. So like I said, it wasn't a cohesive, everything comes together, America is born, America. No. America was a deadly laser.
And create the Congress and stuff. Some people like this, but some people didn't like it. So they add 10 rules to make sure they like it. We need a leader! So they invent the president, and everyone made it this guy because he was such a legend during the war. Nice bank, Hamilton. Wait, how strict should the Constitution be? Yes. No. Goodbye, Washington. Wait, he's got something to say. Don't make political parties. Worst mistake of my life. Okay, said America, creating them anyway.
Yeah, Washington's farewell address, which I make all of my students read. Washington's farewell address, Eisenhower's farewell address, two of the most important farewell addresses for different reasons, of course. But one of the things that Washington did say would be the downfall of this country would have been the creation of political parties, which is exactly what they did in the very next election after Washington stepped down after 2 terms. Again, it was not written anywhere in the Constitution that a president can only serve 2 terms. Again, the president wasn't just created. The president was created. The executive branch was created when they created the Constitution, of course. But there was nothing there that said that a president would only serve 2 terms. But Washington, again, right man, right time, right place. He was the right leader for the time because he understood precedents, setting a precedent. He knew everything he did would be the precedent for all presidents to follow later. So could he have won a 3rd term? He could have won a 10th term if he wanted to. He could have been the king if he wanted to, but he turned it down. So he serves his 2 terms, leaves office in 1799, and then the very next election, you get political parties, you get your first dirty campaign between Jefferson and Adams. Things got nasty, people.
Hey, can we now follow the law? Whoa, France is going cray-cray right now. Probably because we did that. Napoleon wants to remake an empire with this huge chunk of land he's got. He failed. Might as well sell it. Hey, do you want my land? Okay. Some people saw Jefferson as a hypocrite after this.
Yes.
I did it! I ended slavery!
Yes.
Said Eli
100%.
Whitney, inventing something that just increased it. What is Britain doing? Dude, they're stealing our seamen!
But yeah, the Louisiana Purchase was not a popular thing as well. Obviously, today we look upon it and say, hey, man, it's the entire middle of our country. You know, of course, it was a huge coup and we got it for so cheap. But it really pushed the limits of what the president could actually do constitutionally. And there was a huge fight about it. Of course, Jefferson prevails because we own the land.
Amen. Never mind, it's land. Let's go! Nice, new reform movements. Now slavery's becoming controversial. Yo, they're using machines now? What the heck? And it made the North more complicated. Everyone's moving to cities. And slavery's still bad, but you know, it's balanced perfectly. Hey guys, I want to become a state, specifically a slave state. Yes sir, preach! Screw you, we're adding Maine to the gang. Hey Europe, stay out of our area, you're pathetic. Henry Clay just announced a dank new system. We'll be good if the South didn't hate it. John C. Calhoun's evading taxes again. I want to remove the natives. You can't. Why? Because we said so. Okay. And he removed the natives. Check out the Whigs versus the donkeys. Industry is fire right now, but factory working is horrible. Let's just stop working. Let's go west because we're American. They go west, kicking the natives and Mexico in the process. A lot of Irish people just died, so everybody starts immigrating to the country. This sucks, said the Know Nothing Party, knowing nothing.
Yeah, the Know Nothing Party, yeah. So a lot happened here, of course. So Westward Expansion, which was proclaimed to be not only something that we should do, but something that was divine, and it was manifest destiny that we had to take over all of these Spanish territories, which eventually become, you know, our states, which are still, you know, Los Angeles. I butchered that. I'm sorry. New Mexico, you know, like there was something wrong with the old Mexico. But in either case, manifest destiny. Then the huge influx of immigrants in the late 1800s, in the early 1800s to mid 1800s, was seen as, you know, again, race is a very touchy subject, you know, especially in the United States. But a lot of people who consider themselves to be quote unquote white were not treated as white when they first came here. I'm looking specifically at the Italians, at the Irish, at the Jews, of course. So yeah, there was a huge, and there was something called literally the Know Nothing Party.
on foreign influence. We got more land, but how do we use it? Okay, that new land from Mexico? No slaves here. You can make a political party out of this. It didn't work, but it did piss off the South. Don't worry, I got this, said Henry Clay again, adding California after our gold thing happened there. It didn't go well. Frick it, let's let the people decide. Never mind. The woman just had a pretty cool meetup advocating better rights, introducing the elephants as if donkeys weren't enough. Hey, excuse me, I'm in the north and my master died. Can I be free and be like a citizen? No. Cause you're black. The nation started falling apart. After all, the last several presidents didn't really even do anything.
Especially Buchanan, who preceded Lincoln, who's considered to be the worst president of all time. And I definitely don't disagree, even though Andrew Johnson wasn't much better, who succeeded Lincoln. But around this time, why was slavery more popular in the South than in the North? Well, again, the Industrial Revolution. The North was more industrialized. The North, whereas the South was more agriculture-based. It was perfect for farming, whereas in the North, it wasn't, the land, the soil, the agriculture, everything. It wasn't, a place where you could really farm. Not to say that there weren't farms in the North, but not like it was in the South. So that's why the South, number one, wanted slavery. And number two, why they really could never win a civil war is because the North was industrialized. There's a reason why the uniforms were the colors that they were, because the North could color their uniforms, whereas the South couldn't. They just, they were what they were. And then, of course, comes along the head Republican, the first Republican, not the Republican Party that is the Republican Party today. It's a completely different Republican Party, but we get Lincoln.
Guys, I'm Lincoln, and slavery is disgusting. I'm running for president, by the way. By the way, he won. Wait, guys, I won't take away your slaves. Just chill for a bit. Yeah! Nah. The country's fighting itself. Guys, we need to fight like a snake right now. I'm gonna free the slaves. Except it didn't really do anything, but it did change the idea. Now we're destroying slavery. Yo, but
Yeah, so the Emancipation Proclamation freed the slaves in the North. Obviously, because the South had seceded, they weren't going to follow any laws that President Lincoln was enacting. So it didn't free all of the slaves. That's point number one. Point number two, if Lincoln could have kept the Confederacy, if Lincoln could have kept the South from seceding, would he have freed the slaves? That is a tough question, people. One I get asked all the time, and one I've debated for a long time, and quite possibly he wouldn't have. But his opinion did change with time, especially due to the Civil War and the atrocities that he saw. But more so, he needed to give a justification to the war. One of the things was he never recognized the South as a separate entity. He still considered them just rebellious Americans. And especially when he went to get Europeans to come and help with the conflict, there needed to be some kind of justification to the war. And repugnance of slavery, which had already been outlawed in England, for example, was a pretty good justification.
we're still fighting pretty good. Not anymore. The North just set the South on fire, and they eventually died. Hey, nice, we won. Lincoln's actually chilling now. And he gets assassinated. Great, now we gotta rebuild everything. The South kinda still did slavery and pretended the war never happened. The whites wanted to stay the best race, so they start using violence. And now the US was looking beautiful on the outside, but disgusting in the inside. Businesses became bigger, but the working conditions became badder. This sucks, said the Knights of Labor. Yeah, we're only taking skilled workers, bro. Hey farmers, do you hate railroads and mechanized farming? Introducing the Grangers, now the Populists. The South was getting more industrialized, but now more racist. No, trust me, it's separate but equal. I'm gonna buy everybody. Wait, why don't we donate all our money for society? Sweetie, let's focus on the cities, which are garbage right now. Introducing the Progressives. Let's fix that crap. Oh shoot, we just ran out of land. That's some good grub right there. But Spain controls Cuba. You sunk our ship? Bro, we didn't even do anything. Now we got that.
That's pretty much in a nutshell. Yeah, the Maine was sunk and we blamed it on them, but they didn't really do it. Kind of like the justification for Vietnam with the Gulf of Tonkin affair. Yeah, spot on.
That grub, including the Philippines? This is lit, said William McKinley, getting assassinated. And they lose Cuba. The United States becomes a world power while doing some other stuff too. Sherman's vice president, not William Sherman, this a different Sherman, under the new president William Sherman Taft. While Europe's killing themselves in this war, the US was actually chilling. Germany just ruined it. I'm gonna show you what democracy feels like. Wait, we already did this scene. After the war, Germany was the dunce forced to pay a lot of money. Check out the League of Nations. Can you guys join it, please? No. Whoops, a disease just killed everybody. Russia just became...
Yeah, the League of Nations is basically a precursor to the United Nations. It was something that the president deeply believed in. But the Congress and the Senate were like, nah, we want to stay out of this, especially after World War I. Isolationism became the popular cause, feeling that, you know, we just went through this horrific war, which is supposed to be the war to end all wars. You know, it wasn't called World War I. It's like that joke, you know, where a time traveler comes back and asks, you know, who won the Great War? And I say, you mean World War II? There was a World War II? So isolationism becomes the popular sentiment. Let's stay out of foreign affairs. It's none of our business. But the League of Nations eventually becomes the United Nations, which, of course, you know, America joins after World War II. The Russian Revolution, I already covered hugely in depth in 2 different parts when I did Oversimplified Russian Revolution, so check that out.
Came the Soviet Union, and it scared the crap out of everybody. Alcohol just got banned. That's kind of sick. And women got the right to vote. Finally. Hey blacks, tired of the South? Move to the North and share that epic culture. The 1920s, we're now in cars watching movies and breaking it down. And this stock thing's gonna do good. Just kidding. Hoover tried doing something but failed. Then FDR comes in with the New Deal and it actually worked, but it failed. Yo, Germany's going wild. Italy's going wild. And Japan? Guys, we should team up and take over the entire world. Damn it, I gotta run for a 3rd term. The US did their same brilliant move and was actually just chilling. Japan wanted more land, but they were scared of the US, so Japan spits on them. They declare war, and the others declare war on the US. Hey, that's what friends do. The US is making a big fat bomb, like a...
That's what friends are for. So this is when America becomes a world superpower after World War II. Because the United States really didn't have any type of air force to speak of, no real navy, you know, that was intimidating. But the production that Roosevelt puts into place, and then, of course, the creation of the atomic bomb, makes America the superpower on the face of this earth. So this was a very, very important step. And it was true. The New Deal did some good, but it really wasn't fixing the Depression. The only thing that fixed the Depression was World War II, and the money that started flowing in from production and everything else.
Really big one. We gotta take down Germany, man. They're freaking crazy. So they take down Germany. Then the US starts taking down Japan. Roosevelt died and Harry Truman carries on the presidency. Mr. President, we can't invade the mainland. Our soldiers will die. Bro, let's just use the bomb. So they drop it on Japan.
It wasn't that easy a decision. It really weighed a lot on Truman. And yeah, it wasn't that, we can't invade because our soldiers will die. The argument that was put forth in Congress was the amount of soldiers that would die if we just went into battle versus the amount that would die if we used the bomb. And that's including both sides. And it was agreed that it could go on for a number of more years. And the total loss in life would be much greater than if we had used the bomb. That was the argument that was made.
Twice. The war ended after that. Goodbye, League of Nations. Hello, United Nations. But we got a problem. These two don't even like each other. They start another war, now with nuclear bombs. Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that, but I still hate you. It's alliance time, baby. Now with other countries to back us up. Also, Germany's in shambles. It's like the hotspot. There's some other wars going on and stuff. Back them up! Look, it's communism. And it scared the crap out of everybody. The two superpowers wanted to be better than the other. In weapons, wars, allies, and now in space. The Soviet Union just put a thing in space. Oh, heck nah! Then the US creates NASA. America is booming, like the population. Everyone's got television and fast food becomes a revelation. Like, we're talking about the first McDonald's here. Wait, Cuba's communist? This results in the end of the world. Almost. Screw this, said Kennedy. We're going to the moon. And he gets assassinated. Racism is bad. Civil rights time. Buses, education, marches. Oh shoot, Luther King, man? He's standing for equality to fight racism. And the US agrees. Dude, I saw him, man. Why is everything sexy? Lyndon wants to take Vietnam to the next level, so he sends a lot of troops. The US slapped the Soviets in their face and landed the first dudes on the moon. Introducing Richard Nixon, and he's done with Vietnam because it's a disaster. There goes Watergate ruining Nixon's career. Now nobody trusts the government. Iran just had a revolution.
That's true. That was the turning point where we have this modern day view of government as untrustworthy. And I did a whole video on Watergate as well. You can find it on my channel. The Nixon scandal, if you're interested in what that was all about. I did a whole thing on Vietnam as well. That's why I'm not going too in depth here, because I don't want this to turn into another 3-hour video for your sake and mine.
Kidnapping multiple Americans because Jimmy Carter and their king were best friends. It's Reagan time. Technology is getting better too and the world's more connected. Oh my god, bro, it's computers. You can check emails and play games on it. I'ma make things more free to you guys. This makes the Soviet Union collapse. But hey, at least Germany's back together. Companies start becoming bigger and bigger. Thanks, Bill. Some buildings just got bombed. Happy New Year. Then obliterated. Then a war starts over that. Surprise.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially the younger generation, don't realize that. Because I've had a number of kids come to me and go, yo, Biggie Smalls, the Notorious B.I.G., he predicted the World Trade Center. Because in Juicy, he says, gonna get paid, blow up like the World Trade. That was in 94, bruh. Yeah, because the Twin Towers were bombed in 1993. And then again, of course, the planes hit them in 2001, which of course we remember as 9/11. But the Twin Towers were attacked twice, not just once.
Everyone's got a cell phone now. There's the Earth where I was actually born. It's on fire, and the economy crashed again. Surprise, Obama. And now, Obamacare. It's like healthcare, but from Obama. Now you can talk to people online, on your phone. Now you can order stuff online, on your phone. Everything just got shut down, and it just got political, and canceled on Twitter. Then we buy the universe. Or maybe go extinct, I don't know.
Krispykarim, great job, man. Really great job. I enjoy that tremendously. Just, an amazing homage to Bill Wurtz. I love the thanks to Bill Wurtz at the end of the video. Definitely a video that I really enjoyed, that really obviously took a lot of work to put together. So huge round of applause to Crispy. And of course to Bill Wurtz for inspiring the next generation to carry on his work. I've been Teacher Eddie. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let me know any other videos you'd love for me to react to. And I'll catch you next time, fam. Gonna shout out to Patreons. And shouting out the Patreons, as always, the Chancellors, Alex S. and John Alonzo, the Principals, Chad A. Clement, Francisco Mora, Ed Veras, and Laura. If you want to support Teacher Eddie, please visit patreon.com/modernretroshow or visit the link in the description.